told you how old I was. Okay. Oh, this is scary. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, when I told my friend that the name of my story was The Time I Ran Away from Home when I was 36, he said, well, yeah, if you were 36, it was about time. But anyway, it wasn't quite like that. It was quite a few years ago, and I had just been through a miserable, messy, contentious divorce, and I was in a lot of pain, and I was just a wreck. And our family and friends had all figured they had to divide up and take sides, and everybody had an opinion, and I decided that my main problem about that time was Fargo, and everybody in it, and everybody I know, they're all crazy, and I need to just get the hell out of this place and go get a new start. And that's pretty much what I did. I sold everything I owned except what I could fit in my little Plymouth Arrow hatchback. And I took off out of town going west and drove 1,500 miles to Birmingham, Idaho. Now, don't try to find that on the map. Because although this is a true story, I did change the name of the town and some of the people. Yeah. And on the way out there, I was so glad to leave town. I thought, man, Fargo looks good in your rear view mirror. And and I started thinking about the new start that I was going to have. I'd never been to this town. I didn't know a soul there, but I wasn't worried because, you see, I'm in a 12-step recovery program, and our culture in 12-step program is that we're just instant family and friends. So I knew all I'd have to do was go to an AA or an NA. NA is Narcotics Anonymous meeting, and I would just have instant connections and instant community. I wasn't worried. And I was armed with my social work degree and my resume, and I thought, man, I'm gonna just have a new start. I'm gonna get a social work job. I'm gonna get on the board of a few nonprofits, and who knows, after a couple of years, I'll probably run for city council, and I'll help them run the town. And so there I go. And just as I had planned, I got to this city about 8 o'clock in the evening, just when the 12-step meetings start. So I went to an NA meeting, Narcotics Anonymous, and right away, just like I said, I was welcomed with open arms. Here's this lady from North Dakota. She's moving here. She doesn't know anybody, meet everybody. Some of the old-timers came up to me and said, so you're on a geographical cure, huh? What kind of problems are you running from? Because, you see, it's kind of hard to bullshit professional bullshitters. But I said, oh, no, everything's fine there in Fargo. I just came because I heard your city was so nice and I wanted to be a part of it and everything like that. Well, anyway, one of the first people I met out there was Lorelei. And Lorelei, she's a woman about my age, newly in recovery and newly into real estate sales. She had just bought a house that she really couldn't afford by herself. And so she thought this was the answer to her prayers, come and be my roommate and help me. So I did. I moved in with Lorelei that night, and at first we had a lot of fun because she was the quintessential salesman, really extroverted, gregarious. She'd get up in the morning, get dressed fit to kill. She'd go out and do all her hobnobbing, you know, whatever they do, and and everybody she was also a gourmet cook. So everybody she saw all day, oh, come on over to the house tonight. We're having a dinner party. And I'm not an introvert. I'm not a extrovert. I'm not that gregarious, and I'm a terrible cook. But she also liked that too, because she had me chopping and cooking and mixing, and I was her sous chef. And we had a lot of fun. All kinds of people would come over there. Some of them I knew from NA, some not. And you know, we really had a lot of fun. Well, that took care of the home front. But I also needed a job, and I found out it was taking a while for my social work license to transfer to Idaho from North Dakota. Well, one of the guys that I had seen both at Leslie's dinner party and at my NA meeting just happened to be he was between secretaries, and he was looking for some temporary office help. And so I went to work for him. And he was a criminal defense attorney, and his name was Tony. He was kind of funny looking, like Lurch, if anybody's... Oh, I thought maybe this crowd was too young to know who Lurch is, but I guess they have Nick at night, okay? So he had this long forehead and this prominent underbite. And he ran his law practice kind of like a clinic. So there was all these people that would just drop in with their papers that showed what they had been charged with, and the type of practice he had. There was, you know, people, they were charged with crimes, most of them having to do with drugs and alcohol. They were bankruptcy, divorces. They were just a mess, most of them, when they came in. And my job was just to kind of entertain him in the waiting room until Tony could see him. Well, I was practicing social work there in his waiting room. And there wasn't much to that. That was kind of a fun job for a while. There wasn't much of a job description, except Tony always said, get the money up front. That was kind of his mantra. And so all I did was take retainers and put money in the drawer and do my social work. Well, after about a week, I noticed that Tony was getting really edgy and itchy-twitchy and irritable. And he'd come into work and he'd grab a handful of cash and disappear and come back. Have you ever heard Robin Williams on a rant? Well, yes, he would come back just like that, talking 90 miles an hour, how he's gonna lick the world and fuck all these fuck nuts that, you know. And like that, you know. Well, I was having a hard time balancing the books, and after he would do that, and the people were having a hard time getting Tony to do any work for them. And in fact, sometimes they couldn't even get in to see him. So this fun that we were having in the waiting room kind of turned into a nightmare with all these angry people. You know, where's my money, and where's my lawyer, and where's, you know, when is he going to tell me when we're going to court, and all this kind of stuff. Well, this is just a little more social work than I was qualified to do. And then I would see, and then I was wondering, shouldn't I be getting a paycheck pretty soon? Well, yeah, as soon as I get organized and get time, you know. And then I would see Tony at the NA meetings talking about his recovery, and already Fargo was starting to seem not so crazy, because this isn't how we do recovery in Fargo. When we say we're clean and sober, that means we don't drink, we don't smoke pot, we don't snort coke, and we don't shoot speed, you know. But that is the way they were doing it there. So So I was all ready. I was, you know, my illusion of, you know, what was going to go on was just starting to, you know, I was starting to get a little ragged, but also things were not that good on the home front anymore either, because all these sparkly, shiny, upbeat dinner parties we were having were really waning. And Lorelei was still doing entertaining, but it was like men, and one at a time, and really strange ones, you know, and at strange hours. And so I thought, you know, I need to have a talk with Lorelei, because I had a lot of time in recovery, and she was pretty new. And it's customary that after a person has, you know, gotten a start and been clean and sober a while, that the people who've been around a while get a hold of them and have a talk about maybe cleaning up some of their other behaviors. And so I was going to have a talk with her about her promiscuity. And I got all geared up for this and started the talk, and she said, just a minute, she said. I haven't been a real estate salesman that long. Before, when I was using drugs, I was a high-class hooker. And I was going to quit hooking when I got clean and sober and start selling real estate. But real estate sales hasn't been good lately, so I am supplementing my income with practicing my other profession. But don't worry about it, Linda, because as soon as real estate picks up, I'm going to quit. I'm going to quit again. And I go, oh my God, I'm working with a drug addict, I'm living with a hooker. How is this going to get me to my goal of running this town on the city? And I was starting to think about, you know, how nice everybody was in Fargo, and how normal, and there was no problems back in Fargo, you know. Well, I was starting to make plans to, you know, get out of there and come home, but not soon enough. Because one night, after a wicked day at work, I came home, went to bed. Lorelei came in and woke me up 10, 11 o'clock. She had 2 men with her, and she wanted me to sleep with one of them. And I told her absolutely not, and she says, oh, grow up. What's wrong with you anyway? You're no virgin, are you? You know, because I was about, like I said, I was about 36 at the time. And in case you're wondering, no, I didn't do it. But that was enough. I got up the next morning, and I hightailed it 1,500 miles back to Fargo, my home, sweet home.